Hey everyone, welcome back to Nova Pain and Rehab Center. So in this video today, we're going to talk to you about a couple things that you can do at home to break up the monotony of sitting either at your dining room table or on your chair or in your bed, which seems to be where most people have their workstation now. This year has been a very huge change in the ergonomic world because people no longer have their workstation in their office to sit at. Now they have their laptop and they're at home, and so the same mechanics apply, but now we're even in a worse ergonomical situation where people just don't have the chairs and desks and supplies to maintain good posture and ergonomics. So we're going to show you a couple stretches today that you can do throughout the day just to really open everything up and stretch out usually the tighter muscles that we're going to see. All these stretches are very easy to do. They require very little to no equipment. I'll kind of explain to you deviation between each of the stretches as we go through. General rule of thumb is that for every hour you're sitting, you want to get up for about 5 minutes and stretch and move around. If you have the option to have a variable height station or situation where you can stand up and sit down, that's a great thing to incorporate into your home workstation. But hopefully some of these movements we go today will give you a couple tools you can use throughout the day to alleviate a lot of the common ailments that we're starting to see with some of our patients, okay? All right, let's get into it. Okay, so the first stretch we're going to do today is a lateral trunk rotation. So what we're trying to do is rotate the upper trunk over the lower trunk. These are stretching your internal and external oblique muscles. These are going to be really tight in people who sit for a long time. There's a lot of ways you can stretch this. You can do in a door frame. If you have a gym where you have a rig type system, you can do this, but ultimately you want to rotate your lower trunk to one direction, like she's rotating her lower trunk to her right side, and then the upper trunk to the opposite direction, and then hold that for about 8 to 10 seconds. And if you do it correctly, you should feel really, really good stretch through your mid and low back. With all the stretches we talk about today, the recommendation is 8 to 10 second hold while breathing. Do that as many times as you need to on both sides if it is a stretch you do bilaterally, until you feel you've gotten as much flexibility and stretch out of the movement that you need to. Okay, so lateral trunk rotation. So next one we'll do is for the shoulder, the front of the shoulder, the chest. This is called a doorway stretch. It's a pectoralis major stretch. It's a really, really good stretch to open the shoulders up. If you're sitting quite a bit, these are muscles that are going to be really tight. So what we're doing is we're taking the arm up to about a 90 degree from the shoulder, same leg forward, and then you're rotating the body to the opposite side of the arm and chest. And you'll feel that stretch all the way up through your chest into your shoulder. You can play around with this a little bit by taking your elbow up and down. So take the elbow up a little bit, and you're going to stretch a little bit lower on the chest. Higher the elbow, the lower you stretch, and then take the elbow down, and then you can stretch a little higher on the chest. You can kind of vary this a little bit, but the key is same leg forward, rotating to the opposite side. Hold that for about 8 to 10 seconds, and then make sure you're doing that on both sides bilaterally. Okay, so the next movement we'll get into is to stretch two very very tight muscles in the back. These are muscles that hold the head up and shoulders back. They're called your levator scapula, and as most people know, your trapezius muscle. So what we're doing right now is we're stretching the trapezius muscle. She's taking her right arm behind her to pull the shoulder down a little bit, and then she's going to basically pull her head away to the opposite side, opening that up, and that's stretching the trapezius muscle. Now go ahead and take your head back up straight to neutral position. Now take your chin down to the opposite side and pull your head down. Now we're stretching the levator scapula. This is another very important muscle that maintains the stability through the neck and upper back. A very, very tight muscle we see on a lot of people. So really, depending on what direction your chin goes in is going to be to what muscle you are stretching. But we always talk about stretching these in combination. Okay, and taking that arm behind you to distract the shoulder down, and then getting a good stretch on both sides. Okay, so the next one we'll get into is called a three-way prayer. Now we've been through this stretch a couple times in previous videos. This is just a great stretch for the the front of the body, the chest, the shoulders, even the lats, the latissimus dorsi muscle. So this is we'll start with the neutral position prayer stretch. She's going to roll into it going forward. If you don't have a ball, you can do this on a bed, on a dresser, on an ottoman chair, and what you want to do is just crawl back with your knees instead of rolling the ball forward. So you want to get in this position where you're able to push your head and your chin through your arms to the floor, completely relax your back and arms, and you're going to feel this big stretch to the front of your shoulders, chest, and down your side, which is into that muscle called your latissimus dorsi. So now if she takes that left hand over her right hand, left hand over right, and then same thing, take your chin over your left arm. So pull your head back up again, take your chin over your left arm, chin, there we go. And really get into that. Now you're gonna feel a big stretch through the back and mid part of the shoulder, and again, really into that mid back, that latissimus dorsi muscle. Okay, and then she'll rotate the same thing, right hand over left, take your right chin over the right arm, there you go, and really kind of get into that, and you'll feel a really good stretch through the lat, okay? And then back to neutral position again, and then with this one, head all the way down and through, really opening up both the shoulders and chest. 8 to 10 seconds, you can kind of vary this however you see fit. You know, typically people have one side that's tighter than the other side, so you might want to spend a little more time on that one. Okay, so let's do the last movement today. Now this is really more of a mobility into an exercise, but it's just, again, it's a really good movement. If you want to add, you know, some pelvic movements and some core structure to this, this is a great exercise / mobility movement to do. So this is, we'll get into the first part of this, called a bridge. So we'll take the hips up. You want to push the hips up as far as you can towards the ceiling, squeeze your butt together. You should feel a little bit of a pull through the front of your hips in this position. Okay, now this is still considered a stretch, so you want to hold this for about 8 to 10 seconds, and then what you'll do is come down, butt on the floor, and then press your back to the floor. So press your belly button down to the floor. This flattens the back out, and this will help to stretch out the erector spinae muscles of the back. So you're getting both the muscles in the front and in the back doing this. So let's come up again, pushing that hip to the ceiling, squeezing the butt. Good, 8 to 10 seconds, and then relax and come down, and then push that back to the ground. So the next part of this we're going to do is grabbing a ball or a pillow, you know, anything that kind of separates the knees, and put that between the knees. And now we're going to push the knees together, activating the adductor muscles, and then bridge up again. Now this is, you're going to feel this a little bit differently. You're going to feel this through the inside of your leg and through the outer part of your hips. Yep. And you know, you would hold this, and this would just be another advancement to that same movement, working and engaging a couple of different muscle groups. Last part of this, we're going to add a straight leg raiser. So this is a core stability movement. We're going to take the leg out. This is actually quite difficult. What we're trying to do is maintain a level hip parallel to the ground as we come up. One leg comes out. You're going to hold this one for usually about 3 to 5 seconds. You know, any of the exercises, you're going to decrease that time a little bit, and then drop that hip down, and then take the other leg back up. You can kind of go back and forth, holding that 3 to 5 seconds. Once you see one of your hips start to dive down, start to drop down to the floor, you're probably about as much as you can do with that movement. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we went through 5 movements today. All these can very easily be done in probably 10 minutes. You can divide some of them up. You know, depending on what you want to do with these, but ultimately it's just moving around, getting out of that same position, doing something to open yourself up, and in turn you should feel much better, not just the end of the day, but the end of the week. These are very common things that we're talking to a lot of our patients about now, and hopefully they can also help you. If you're having any issues that go beyond this that you may need a little bit more help with, you can contact either one of our offices and come in for an assessment, and then we can look at you more specifically about some things just for you. You can reach our Arlington office at 703-535-8887, and then our Purcellville location at 703-376-3797. Thanks again. Have a healthy day.